Welcome to the Hey Soul Sista podcast, where Mel Histon will guide you through life's big questions and bring you one step closer to doing this crazy journey as best you can.
Hey Soul Sisters, today in the studio I have with me the fabulous Laura Jackel from The Change.
Hello.
And Mel Sarge from
NHM. I got it from my mama.
Amazing. I literally had to think is it HNM or
Because it's a Newcastle Hunter Mamas. Lots of people listen to this from overseas, so that probably isn't great.
It's highly successful and has a really, really big community.
Yes, we help out a lot of mamas with their relationship problems and also their kids' rashes, generally.
Oh,
There you go.
There's a new rash on the page every day.
oh my word.
Well, and funnily, talking about kids, Laura, you were just saying that you have a new position.
I
with
do.
Kidspot.
At Kidspot, yes, very excited. I'm starting there soon as evening editor. It's a temporary role covering a mat leave contract, but I'm very excited to get back into the world of media. I miss it.
I thought you were about to say, Laura's going to have another baby.
Oh, jeez, no. I'm 45 now. I am well and truly done.
I actually thought I could have had another baby and was keen for that up until 2 years ago, until I became a grandmother.
Oh, my goodness.
Because you had your first so young.
Yeah, absolutely. And little Florence, she's 2 now. And so we had her for a sleepover the other night, and I had actually forgotten about what it's like having a toddler and doesn't want to sleep and is singing songs in the middle of the night and then crying for a bot. I'm like, pop her in bed with us. She was in the cot. Pop her in bed with us. And 2 a.m, she's singing Wheels on the Bus to herself.
It's the
cute.
worst. It should be called the no sleepover.
Yeah, that's so true.
Even my partner was saying yesterday he feels lucky that he met me when the kids were a bit older, because you see those women in Kmart who've just had the baby and they are literally like walking zombies. I remember it. I remember being a zombie.
It's hard times. But at least as a grandma, you can hand that baby back.
Yeah. And do you know what? And it's and because I guess being a grandma now, I'm in my 40s. I'm a grandma in my 40s.
know.
You're a young grandma. Yeah.
But
A glamour.
But okay, it's actually lovely, so it's beautiful to have the grandbabies, because there's 5 of them now.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so it's actually really lovely to have them, and it was beautiful having little Florence and having cuddles with her in the middle of the night while she's singing to us.
Super special.
Yeah, absolutely. But we're here today to talk about the change.
Oh my God.
So Laura has a podcast with Kath O'Brien.
I do.
Called The Change.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, so Kath and I are both writers. We met at Mamma Mia about 4 years ago now, and we always felt like there was space for a podcast exclusively for women in their midlife. And we like to call it midlife, not middle age, because middle age sounds a bit, I don't know, naff. I much prefer midlife.
You always think of the next word after that, middle-age spread.
Yes, that's so true. And, okay, if you identify as middle age, that's fine. We just don't. We're midlife.
No, I think I like that. I'm going to actually adopt to that, midlife.
Okay, midlife.
I identify as she, her, midlife.
Yeah, that's right. No middle age for me, thank you. And so we were keen to do a podcast then, and we tried to get it past the Mamma Mia crew, but they had heaps of their own podcasts going on. It didn't happen, and so when we both left Mamma Mia, we were like, let's do that podcast.
Yeah. It's cool to own your own brand anyway.
Yeah, it was really nice, refreshing, and we just sat down and we were like, okay, let's do it. So we just put an Instagram page together very quickly and came up with a name, which actually Kath came up with the name, and then started interviewing interesting women in midlife about their changes, their stories, and we love it. We just do it obviously outside of work, outside of family, and we do it remotely because she lives down in Wollongong. So it's good.
So you do that over Zoom?
We do it over Zoom.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, good one. So tell us, let's talk about the change, because I'm going to say I'm pretty sure the 3 of us are in midlife. Yeah. Mel,
Yes.
you're in midlife.
I'm 43. That's midlife, isn't it? I am midlife.
I'm calling that midlife sister.
I'm grateful to be here, to be
Yeah.
honest, considering all my years in radio and such a wild time. The fact I'm still alive and kicking, I'm happy about.
Well,
I'm happy to celebrate my birthdays, to be honest.
and that's the truth, isn't it? Like, I think by the time you get to 40 plus,
Yeah.
you do see people that unfortunately have, well, I've had a friend passed away a year ago. You only got to 48, and I think, well, God,
So
I'm
sad.
so happy to be alive. That is absolutely one thing to celebrate about being in midlife. But yeah, I don't know when you make a call that you are in midlife. I suppose over 40. I don't know.
I guess.
Yeah.
And, it feels a bit rude, doesn't it? You know how it's like, oh, I don't want a birthday anymore. I'm going to be 21 again. Like, and maybe it's a cool thing now to own it.
Yeah,
why
I feel
not?
like, yeah.
Yeah. Do you know what? I'm going to be honest with you. I'm one of those people that has held on to 28 for a very long time. I really have. My kids actually go, yeah, it smells 28 birthday again. But it's
I used to have
funny.
a friend who had a 21st every year. He almost acts like he's 21, to be honest. He's a photographer.
They do.
Yeah.
But my girlfriend Nads, she says to me every birthday, she's like, girlfriend, you should be so grateful, because I had the breast cancer. So she's like, you should be so grateful. You've got another birthday. And then we had our friend Meg who died from breast cancer. So, even, Nads is like every birthday, don't feel down about it. Come on, you're alive. And I'm like, yeah, okay,
Yes.
that's true. That's true. Yep.
It's true, isn't it? But I think, on the day to day, sometimes I just sometimes personally anyway, catch myself in the mirror. I'm like, oh my God, where did that time go? Like and that's the thing about feeling 28. I think I feel inside maybe like 35. I don't know.
You both look amazing, though. Like, what
Mel.
do you not like about the mirror? What do you think?
I've got this like saggy neck situation.
Oh, yeah, I have. I had that.
Sad turkey.
I had a bit of threading, and that was
you?
really ouch.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of threading?
I've heard of it.
Yeah.
It
Do you know
lasted about a year, and then
Okay.
it's gone now. Yeah.
one of the girls at work, she had threading
Gobble,
done.
gobble.
Yeah, and she said, do not get the threading done. It was so painful.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's bad.
I mean, there's so many things you can do to your face if you so choose, and that's cool. Like, I think whatever goes, really.
My mum's been hoisting it up for a good 30 years.
Oh, there
She's
you go.
almost 80 and she looks pretty good, doesn't she? But
She looks amazing.
yeah, but that is a lot of pain. And a lot of money.
A lot of money.
And,
Yeah.
just like, I'd rather be in Paris having a croissant.
That's it. You got to weigh it all up, haven't you? Like, how much do I care about my neck or my wrinkles or my eye bags, and how much do I want to go to Paris? Yeah.
I'm going to be honest. If there was a pain-free way of fixing my slowly sagging neck, I would totally do that.
Yeah.
I'm just such a pain sook. I'm gonna
Yeah,
be
me
honest with you.
too.
Such a
Yeah.
pain sook.
I thought that I was not, because I was a child athlete, right? And then I did some child triathlons, rah, rah, rah. And then I had a child and was just like, give me all the drugs.
Yeah.
I'm a sook
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. It's
So
hard.
talking about the change, and we're talking about,
Okay.
looking in the mirror and probably changes to our face appearance,
Yes, the visuals.
body changes. How have you found that, girls?
The last 12 months, so I was diagnosed with osteoarthritis about 12 months ago. And that was a big moment, because I felt like my body, I used to run, I used to love doing lots of things like that. And so that has been a bit of a kicker, but I've got used to it. And I don't actually feel in pain much. I mean, people have obviously hip replacements and all sorts of things, but I feel like that's down the track for me.
If you manage it and
So I'm managing it with weight training, and I'm still walking every day, and I'm trying to be healthy and all the things. But yeah, when I got that diagnosis, I was like, oh, that was a real moment. So I was 44. I thought, I just mentally felt like that was a very difficult barrier to get through. But since then, I have got through it, and I'm like, no, I'm okay with it. I'm still alive and kicking, still doing all the things, trying to stay on top of it. If I need a hip replacement in 10 or 15 years, then I need a hip replacement. Do you know? It's just one of those things. But it was a shock at the time.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those moments where you go, actually, I'm not as invincible as I thought I was.
That's
Yes.
right.
Yeah. Do you know what? I've always been, even though I had the breast cancer, and that was a whole, a year of treatment and surgery and chemotherapy and radiation treatment. So that was a lot.
and then the mental toll. of it too.
Absolutely. I am quite blasé about my health. I'm going to be honest with you about that. But it's interesting.
You're so funny. You are so generally healthy. Every time I see you, you're like, I'm doing the keto, I'm this, I'm that. Like, you're interested in your health. And you're always is it Genesis, that gym you go to?
Okay, I haven't been there for a while, but I used to go a lot.
Your credit card goes, that's a good thing.
I'm donating to Genesis
Cool.
gym right now.
Good on you.
But it's interesting. I last year started to feel quite unwell, and I couldn't actually put my finger on it, what was going on. And I randomly found this old referral form to get a blood test, because I'm hopeless with getting my tests and things. And I'm like, I might go get a blood test. I reckon I've got a virus. And then my GP called me on a Thursday afternoon, and he's like, you have half the hemoglobin you're supposed to have. And he's like, you need to come in for an emergency transfusion. And I was like, I'm not doing that. It's my birthday weekend. I'm heading up the coast. and blasé. And he called me back a couple of hours later and he started drilling me, asking me all these questions. And then I had to go down this whole, I had to get a transfusion and go down this whole, you know, different exploratory procedures.
Wow.
Because then I found out they actually thought I had cancer. That it was going to be cancer, which it hasn't. All the testing and everything wasn't, thank goodness. And I'm glad that he didn't tell me that until later on after I'd had all the things. But I went down this whole thing around fibroids in my uterus, getting a marina and all of that. And I'm like, and facing, apparently that's a thing for women in their midlife is
that human, that's a hormone replacement therapy, or they used to call it that?
The marina is like a contraceptive. I've got one too.
But that gives you hormones, doesn't it?
It releases progesterone.
Like locally. Just locally, I think.
But it actually then for me, it stops me getting a period. So, you know, having, but I was like, oh my goodness, my mum had a hysterectomy for having fibroids. I've got a number of friends who've had hysterectomies for having fibroids, and that was actually an option for me, was to have a hysterectomy. And I was literally like, I can't have another thing cut from my body. I've had my boobs cut into. I had a cancer. I had a wedge excision on my mouth and had a centimetre of my mouth cut out from skin cancer. And I was like, I cannot have something else cut from my body. So that was a whole journey of the midlife.
Yes. Yeah. I think it is so true, and so many women do have to face things like that, whether that's in like pain, source of pain, joints, like with me with the old osteoarthritis, or something's playing up in the old womb. I mean,
it's interesting in regards to the womb after you have children. It's really different, you know, and I was a bit freaked out by that because I used to run, I think, maybe 30 Ks a week. It was a leftover from being a child triathlete. I always did so much exercise. And then afterwards, I was a Catholic schoolgirl and I'm so bad at my body. So I'm so sorry for this. I don't know much about myself. But I think it's like a semi-prolapse. So where you can sort of feel it. So I have to do so much work on the pelvic floor to the point where I bought a Pilates reformer for our rural property, and I try and do it as often as possible because it's really scary.
Are they talking about a sling?
Well, my auntie had some netting put in there and stuff like that. I've never actually consulted anyone on it. I've just done Dr. Google research and felt that it's I can't believe I'm using my finger.
It's your body, Mel.
It's meant to be further up than it is. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Sorry for that image, everyone, if you're driving in the car.
That's the reality of a midlife woman.
That's it. Yeah, your body's done stuff. You've had 2 babies, you know?
Yeah. Now, Laura, you're somebody in midlife, as we're talking about, and I look at you and you look like you're having so much fun. And
ultimate compliment.
Yes, you look like you're having so much fun, but also, you know, I've seen you've had a number of little career changes, which, you know, once upon a time, that wasn't a thing for women, hey?
No.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about life now.
Okay, so I've just got this new role, which I'll be starting in a couple of weeks, which is very exciting. I guess.
Is that a commute? Because you had to commute for Mamma Mia,
I did commute for Mamma Mia. No, so it will be a work from home. I will have to go down there for training, and I'd love to go down there and be part of the office vibe, you know, once every month or so. But and I do think being in an office occasionally is good for, you know.
Mental health.
Yeah, mental health, just general just vibes.
It's good for your fridge. It stops it from being opened every 5 minutes.
Oh my goodness, that's such a a real dilemma when you work from home for sure. Yeah, so I guess I worked in PR before I had my kids. Then I had my 2 boys. The first eldest is now, he'll be 14 later this year.
Wow, are you serious?
I know, teenage boy, my goodness. And then my little one's only 7, so there's a bit of a gap there. But in between, you know, having young kids, I did a lot of freelance writing, did a lot just knocking on doors and not giving up until I ended up getting that job at Mamma Mia. So I kind of went from PR to media. Then I stepped into a contract back in PR, the world of PR media for a little while. And now I'm back in media again. So it's a bit of a 360 head spin. But yeah, I think fun, you say fun, and that is kind of at the core of, I really do put an emphasis on fun in my social life with the kids. I'm not very good at the basics, cooking and stuff, like as a mum. You know, I'm not very good at all those things. My house is quite messy, but I really feel strongly about trying to incorporate fun into my life in lots of different ways. And I think maybe that's good.
That's great. Because do you know what? It's one of those things that I'm fairly sure that your kids, as they grow up and become adults, will remember the fun.
They'll remember those moments.
So.
I saw the best thing on social media the other day. It was a woman with all these swords in her back.
Oh,
and she looked really deflated, and it just said, you need to look after yourself a little bit and your mental health and not forget you're a person and to have fun, because in 15 years, no one will care if the house is perfect. No one will care if that extra bit of washing's done. No one will care. And I know this is I'm sounding stereotypical and like the women do all these things, and I know that's not the case. Like men do them as well. But yeah, a lot of women out there do a lot.
Too much.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah.
It's
true.
Melly, you've had a big family change and a tree change.
Yes.
And in your midlife.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that. And it's something, I guess, you know, for me, I kind of look and I go, I feel as though when we reach our 40s that we get a courage that I know I never had when I was in my 20s and 30s. There's something about becoming braver.
Yeah.
And you've had a big life change. Tell us a bit about where you're living now and what you're doing.
Well, it was sort of happened gradually, so that was good for me because I'm from Melbourne. I'm a city girl. I would never have thought this. But I fell in love with a man who lives on 100 acres. He's... and when
and you're a Brighton girl. A Brighton.
I know it's weird, isn't it? He's not like Farmer Wants a Wife, though. He was from Sydney originally, and I call him like the hipster farmer vibe because it's an Airbnb retreat space.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so I just used to visit, and then it so happened where something happened in our lives, and Dan said, oh, look, just move. Why don't you just move and bring the kids? It'd be so good for the children. And I go, okay. Well, it was just going to be just for now. But I think that's a couple of years, than just for now. So I Airbnb my house and now it's rented and now, But I think it suits older people, the country. Quite honestly, when we're talking about age, I like the slow style. Like that you can get up and you can go for a run and you can have lunch at 12:30. You know what I mean? And then you get the kids from the bus stop down the dirt road. It wouldn't have suited me in my 20s, no way.
Yeah.
Even a friend of mine, a yoga mentor, we went to Sydney recently and we're like, oh, this is too much for us in our 40s. We just find it too confronting. But in our 20s, we're up 24/7 and we're loving it. So maybe it is an age thing, but I love it.
Yeah.
But you've got a house in the country too, but you do, after a bit, you do go a bit stir crazy. You're like, oh, I have to get back to the peeps.
Yeah. Look, I love going there, and it's been probably the last couple of years I have felt this real yearning to slow down.
Yes. Yeah.
And I'm trying really hard to do that. It's difficult. I'm trying really hard to do that. But actually, my husband and I found a place up the coast, a little town called Dunbogan, which I know people go,
that.
what the fuck?
And Mel calls it the Bogues.
The Bogues.
We're going to the Bogues this weekend. So bogan.
Actually, Mel's Bogues isn't too far from my retreat either. So
that's true.
We'll do
That's
it one
true.
of these days.
And I have found, as I'm getting older, a yearning for quiet and a yearning for soulful time. And when we go there, and we're very fortunate, it kind of backs onto the beach.
Yeah.
When I get there, it's just like... and I go, I really need it because I feel like I'm trying to slow down, but life is quite hectic.
Yeah.
But then we were there for 5 weeks over Christmas, January. And at the end of the 5 weeks, I'm like, I've got to get out of here. And well, you know what it is? It's because, and it made me realise I'm not ready for a permanent shift yet.
Yeah.
Because I got really bored. I started to worry about stupid stuff. And as much as I was trying to meditate and be really soulful and all of that, I just would think about dumb stuff. And I was like, I've got to get out of here and actually get back to some doing.
I think I would be the same if it was just Dan and I, but because I've got the 2 kids and then we've got 2 dogs and then the chickens and it's hectic.
Keeping busy.
Yeah.
Do you find yourself getting a bit more soulful as you get in your midlife?
In my midlife. I do. I really do. I have found nature. I've found nature, birds.
Yes.
I've become a massive twitcher, and I used to hate birds. I found them clawy and scary and like, get away from me, birds. Like I had no no interest in them. And now I'm like, oh, look at that lovely crimson rosella. I kind of hate myself. I also think, oh no, I'm just older and I just have an appreciation for stuff like that because it's so in the moment,
Yes, it's being mindful, right?
Yeah, it's being mindful. Whereas when you're young and you're thinking about, I don't know, your next catch up, girlfriends, I don't know, night out, etc. And I still enjoy all those things, of course, but I find I need time in nature and I get itchy by the weekend. I'm like, I need to go and do a bushwalk and just be alone with nothing in my ears, like complete solitude, and just sort of wander and look at those birds.
I don't enjoy the in the club as much anymore, I have to say. Like those nights out that are really hectic. I prefer a nice dinner party with friends. Yeah. Slow.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I'm the same. Laura, so with the change with your podcast, you've had some really interesting people and topics on the change. Tell us, what are some of the key things that stand out to you or the key learnings or people that you've had on there?
I guess, so many women have been through so much change in life, and I think especially in midlife. So we've spoken in season 1, we spoke to Kath Mahoney, who's she's works in media. Obviously, she's got a connection to Newcastle in that she was married to Andrew Johns, if I'm going to get that right.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes, I remember that.
Yeah, Kath, and she's written a book about her called Currently Between Husbands. So she's talking about being divorced and looking, back on the dating scene in her 40s and what, the hilarity and the kind of, but the difficulty also and the challenge of being in that space. And she was really a great chat. And
she's fun. I sat next to her once on a plane to LA.
Oh,
we were going to do radio shows over there.
She goes overseas a lot.
Yeah. And she was... such a good time, I have to say.
Really interesting. So, divorce. Just trying to think. We spoke with Jessie Stevens, who we both work with at Mamma Mia, and she's obviously a fair bit younger. She's in her early 30s, but we wanted to talk to her about the change between, becoming a mum and someone that was really just in that initial stages and what it's like when you're back there. And so that was good. And also because she's kind of essentially almost the generation below. Well, she is. She's probably a youngish millennial compared with Kath and I, who are both Gen X women. It was interesting to hear about what's changed in the last 10 years since, and Kathy's children are now both grown up. Oh, all 3 are grown up, sorry. So we've spoken to a psychologist about the impacts of change on women, and a doctor who prescribes nature prescriptions, talking of birds and nature and why
that's cool.
Pretty cool. Yeah,
that's funny.
Yeah, so I guess grief. We've spoken about grief. We spoke to Amy Lovett, who's a local Newcastle girl who was engaged to a man and then met the love of her life, a woman, and ended up marrying her girlfriend Laura. And about that big change, we've had loads of really interesting discussions. There's so many things that women go through that are just fascinating.
Yeah, I love that. We're always learning and growing, hey?
Yeah. I remember my daughter put a song on for me today in the car because I was going to the Mother's Day breakfast, which was a delight. Cute. I'd never drink Nescafe for anyone else but my daughter. And she put on the Tones and I song, that cloudy day. Yeah. And she said, what does this song mean, Mum? And I said, it means that look for the sunshine in those times when things are hard. You can look up and you can find hope, and that's really special.
Yeah. Oh, beautiful.
Want to save your soul? Review us on Apple Podcast.
Okay, girls, so to wrap up, us wise women in our midlife, in our 40s, let's say what are a couple of the life learnings that we've had that maybe we would tell our younger selves or any listeners in their 20s and 30s?
Gosh, what would I tell my younger? I think I still worry a lot. I am a worrier. I'm a people pleaser. And these are things that I know about myself now that I perhaps didn't know in my 20s. So I think stop worrying as much as you do. It certainly doesn't help to worry all the time. It literally doesn't change anything. People pleasing is, again, something I'm still working on. But I think just learning where that comes from. And as a woman, I look around at the same, there's obviously some great men, but there's also a lot of mediocre men who don't have the same issue. Like, I think it's such a female thing to be such a people pleaser, worrying about being a good girl. And I was very much brought up in that kind of environment as well. Catholic school, eldest daughter, always be good, always smile, say thank you, blah, blah, blah. I think I would tell my younger self to maybe give less shits about that kind of thing and just be a bit braver and have confidence in yourself. You can do the hard things. Just got to try.
I love that.
Yeah.
And do you know what's funny? I truly believe that once you become aware of something, so for example, the people pleasing, once you become aware of it and you start observing yourself and watching yourself, that's when the change starts to happen.
Yeah.
Because you catch yourself and you go, hang on, actually, I can see I'm falling into this, so I'm going to make that. I'm not going to do that this time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What about you, Mel Sarge?
I think really that teaching people how to treat you, having boundaries in certain aspects of relationships where you should be able, I shouldn't say should because that's a judgment, but where you can see or feel that this is not quite right, just sit on it, think about it, and then get the guts to get some boundaries around people and around situations and let them go if you need to, if that's good for you.
Yep.
You know what I mean? We can really just run ourselves ragged to the point in some relationships too, be it with a man or a female friendship, anything. That's the sort of the people pleasing. And sometimes we're being treated like absolute crap. And I know I have in the past very many times. And if I had the confidence to sit and look at it because I'm an intellect to go, this is, what are you doing? It takes two energies to let that energy happen, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And do you know what I would say? It's interesting. I say all the time, one of my big life lessons has been, making sure that you surround yourself with people who actually genuinely want to see you do well. And I'm not talking about see you do well in terms of big success or anything. No, just be genuinely like you and have your best interest at heart. You know what I mean? I've unfortunately met just a couple of people over the last 9 years since I started Got You Back Sister that I realised had their own agendas and it ended up being not that nicer people. And even though it devastated me at the time, I've really learnt from that. And it's like, you know what, having people around that actually just have your best interests at heart. You know what I mean? That's really important. And it's funny, I realised probably about 18 months ago, I was talking to a friend of mine one day, Rebecca Gibson. You know Rebecca.
Gorgeous.
I love Beck.
Yeah.
Psychic medium.
She's on this season. You got to listen to her.
Yeah.
I love Beck because she just tells it how she sees it. Yes, Mel. She totally does.
It's refreshing.
And I was talking one day and I didn't realise I was talking quite negatively. And it was just about just my life or something about me or my life. And I didn't realise that that was a bit of a default that I had, was I almost talk apologetically. And I was talking quite negatively about myself. And she stopped me and she goes, do you actually realise how blessed and lucky you are? Do you actually realise that? Look at you. And I had that moment and I hadn't, and she was almost chastising me as she does in her lovely way, just going like, wake up to yourself, stop talking negatively about that. Have a load at, you've got a great life. You're blessed. And I stopped and I'm like, actually, survived breast cancer. Have a nice family, good husband, and I started looking at all the good things in my life and I didn't realise that I hadn't been doing that. And I don't say that in an egoic way. I say that in that I've lived with anxiety all these years, and because my default was to worry and think of the worst. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that was like the virtual slap in the face, which I loved. It made me, you go, it's that moment. I need to really stop and rethink about how I look at that. And it made me stop to look at the good things and go, actually, this is okay. And actually, that might seem like a big deal, but it's not really a big deal. Yeah. Not making such a big deal about things.
That's so wise. And I think even that gratitude is almost something you have to practice.
Yes.
You have to say, I'm going to be grateful once a week or a couple of times a week or whenever you can fit it in.
Yeah.
And it'll make you feel so much more rich and abundant and happier, won't it? Just thinking about all the good stuff you have.
Yeah. Even changing your language, like when I remember someone saying to me, don't say I have to, say I get to. I don't even know. I get to go to work. I get to look after my beautiful children. Not that I have to, but I get to.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I love that.
So do I.
Yeah.
So do I. Changing, and that's coming with a bit of wisdom of being older, wisdom, experience, and having some good friends around to give you a little virtual slap sometimes to go, wake up your soul sister.
We get to talk on a podcast.
Yeah, I'm really lucky.
Yeah.
And women of midlife are so interesting. And I look back, in my 20s and I didn't know anything. Like I think women of this age are way more. We're better conversationalists. We're just better.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I agree. Absolutely. Okay, beautiful women. Thanks, Laura. Thanks, Mel Sarge. Amazing Soul Sisters. Thanks for coming and sharing all your great wisdoms with us. Laura, where can people find you?
They can find me on Instagram at The Change Pod, or they can search for The Change Podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcasts.
Woohoo! And what about you, Mel Sarge? Where can people people find you?
NHM, Newcastle Hunter Mamas, or Newcastle Podcast Station, or Podcast Star, which is my new online course launching shortly.
Oh, exciting.
For the world.
Yay. Thank you, sisters.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Hey Soul Sister with Mel Histon. What would help you on your crazy life journey? Email Melissa at thesistercode.com.